Hey, welcome to this week's session of Personal Finance 101. I've done a couple of weeks now. This is part 3 of a session of 5, focusing on how to manage your finances better. As I've said in the past couple of weeks, I am definitely not a chartered financial analyst. I do not have an MBA. I do not work in investments, but I have made a lot of mistakes and I've learned a lot. And I geek out a lot, I suppose, on this sort of thing, because I think personal finance, or managing your finances effectively, is one of the keys to living a successful, healthy, happy, free life. Not knowing how to manage your finances is one way to affect your relationships, your goals, your mental health, so many things. It touches so many parts of your life. So if I've learned some stuff and I've got any little nuggets that I can pass on to you, all the better. So in the first session, I talked about having a goal, knowing what you're working towards, knowing your net worth, assets, liabilities, that sort of thing. Please do click on that link to have a little look about what I was saying there. Last week, I was talking about having a system, getting a system that works for you. So a budget, or the 50, 30, 20, 10 system, or the pyramid system. You've got to have a system. You've got to give it a go and work through that. Today, I want to talk to you about having a chat with the boss. Now, nobody likes to go in for a meeting with the boss. If you get called into the CEO's office, more often than not, you're a little bit nervous, or going to be a little bit awkward. Oh my gosh, I'm going to have to account for myself, defend myself, and speak to my results maybe. But they can be some of the most fruitful conversations because you understand where you're at, where you're going, and you get to take stock of where you're at this point in time. So who's the boss in your life? Well, as cheesy as it sounds when people say you are the CEO of your own life, it's ultimately true. You own your life. You drive it forward. Yes, there are other people that are involved in the decisions that you make, but your choices on a day-to-day basis are the things that are going to make a huge impact on your ability to save money, to make money, to get yourself out of debt, or ultimately to move towards those financial goals. So what I do every week is have a meeting with myself. Yeah. Sounds a bit Billy No Mates, Johnny No Jobs. No, what's the other one? Only Todd, Sweeney Todd. Anyway, on my own, you might want to have a meeting with your partner, your wife, your spouse. But ultimately, once a week, I sit down just for an hour. I open up my diary. I look at how I'm managing my time. I look at a little spreadsheet showing different people in my life, people that are close to me, people that I value, so I can assess whether or not I'm spending enough time with them and checking in and seeing how they're doing. And then I look at my bank balance, I look at my budget spreadsheet, I look at my pyramid, and I just get a bit of an overview as to where I'm tracking. We do it in a business on a weekly basis. In a sales business, you check where you're doing towards your targets. In most businesses, you have quarterly reviews, if not monthly reviews. What's the difference with you managing your household finances? Not all that much, really. And often one of the key areas where we lose out is that we don't know where we're at. I've talked to you about goals, talked to you about having a system. The next thing is really tracking your expenditure and reviewing on a regular basis. So have a meeting with yourself or your significant other. Talk about where you're doing, have a glass of wine, have some food, make it fun. Because at the end of the day, personal finance does have an emotional connection to it, and come at it from a sense of empowerment, i.e. by sitting down and having this hour and dedicating this time, we're going to be able to steward our lives all the more effectively, and it's exciting. Sometimes it means having to look to the past and clearing yourself out of the debt or the mistakes that you've made, but at least you're moving forward, and that's the key thing. So, have a meeting with the boss. When it comes to tracking expenditure, one thing I would say is I would recommend you check your bank balance, your accounts on a daily basis. Just flick open your app, check in, see where you're up to, have a quick squiz. You'll do your weekly meeting anyway, but there's something about seeing the amount of money that you have on a daily basis that affects you psychologically. Think about cash. When we're all paying with cash, it makes me think of my dad. My dad, often I would see him paying for things and have a big wad of money and be like flicking it out like this and passing it over to people, and that's great. But the thing was, when he was paying that money, he had a real awareness of what he was spending. Often I find with Tap and Go or PayWave, you don't have the same connection. So there's no physical removal from you or transferal to somebody else. So you lose the sense of the fact that you're actually spending money or something is being taken from you or you're giving it. With cash, you do get that sense. So how can we be sure that we know where our money's going? Well, just quickly check your balance every morning. Make it part of your daily routine. just to know where your money's at. There are some excellent apps out there to help you track your expenditure. Most banks will have some form of a system that you can view either on the app or desktop to see how your spending is split up proportionately. So how much you're spending on food, how much you're spending on the gym, how much you're spending on bank fees. That's a flippin' annoying one. Or use apps like Get Pocketbook or Mint.com in the States. These are apps that will help you see where your money's going, compare it month to month, let you know when you've got certain bills going out. It's just an extra level of awareness. I use the Get Pocketbook Pocketbook app every week just to see how much I've been spending, whether or not I'm spending too much on food, too much on wild living, which is what I do, or wherever. You need to be able to see the balance and track it. So Get Pocketbook is a good thing. Another thing that you can try that I've seen mentioned by Dave Ramsey or other people who are part of the financial independence retire early movement, which I can talk about another time, or in general just people who are frothing about money, is the envelope system. Now, it depends where you're at in your financial management journey. If you're just at the point where you're trying to get on top of where your money's going and build healthy spending habits, one good thing to do is to basically withdraw your salary at the beginning of the month and slot it into certain envelopes if you have a secure place to do so. So that means you might have one envelope for fun, one envelope for food, one envelope for bills, that sort of thing. And having that sort of system to start off with, which I did initially, helps you to build that psychological connection with money again. So every time you're taking money out, you know where it's going. And if you want to spend money, but there's nothing left in the envelope, you know that there's nothing more to spend. You're not going to whack it on a credit card. You're not going to do a higher purchase. It gives you an idea of physically what you have. Just an idea. So have a meeting with a boss. Weekly meeting really helps. If not, have a monthly meeting. Track your expenditure. Use Get Pocketbook in Australia, or Mint, or other money tracking apps like the A6 app is really, really good. I'll put the links to that down below. Remember the psychological connection with money. Maybe having physical cash or the envelope system will help you. The only other thing I was going to say is be gentle on yourself, because building a system, investing in yourself, looking at your personal finances can be awkward at first, and you might make mistakes at first, but without failing, you're never really going to learn. Without all the mistakes that I made, I was never going to be able to have this opportunity to speak to you and help you with certain things that might move you forward in your finance journey. So if you make mistakes or things that make sense at first, find people to speak to that you can trust, or trial a system, and if it doesn't work, move on to something else. It's fluid. Life is fluid. Money is affected by your finances, by your relationships, by so many different things. Just give yourself a break if it's not quite coming together just yet. The important thing is that you're doing something about it and you're taking steps to move forward. I hope this is helping. I hope you've had a great week and you have a wonderful weekend, and I'll speak to you next week for some more personal finance nuggets. Love you.